Let's start our first news. Michael Morales has found himself at the center of a growing fight rumor, but one of the biggest names being linked to him has now been ruled out. Recently, Morales told fans that his next fight has already been booked, immediately sparking speculation about who the UFC could have lined up for him. With no official opponent announced, fans began connecting the dots and throwing several names into the conversation. Among the most widely discussed possibilities were Yaroslav Amosov and Carlos Prates. However, MMA Junkie's Nolan King has now stepped in with an important update that appears to shut down those rumors. In a recent post on X, King addressed the speculation directly, saying he had seen widespread rumors claiming that UFC 330 backup Michael Morales would be fighting either Yaroslav Amosov or Carlos Prates. But according to multiple sources he spoke with, neither of those matchups is currently scheduled in any form. That means the two names that had gained the most attention among fans are apparently not the opponents Morales is preparing to face. This update is especially interesting because Morales himself already confirmed that his next fight has been booked, meaning there is clearly something in the works behind the scenes. The mystery now becomes even bigger, because if Amosov and Prates are both out of the picture, the UFC must have another opponent lined up for Morales. For now, fans will have to wait for the promotion to officially reveal the matchup. But one thing is already clear. The rumors surrounding Morales have created plenty of attention, and the real opponent could come as a surprise. Move on to another news. Conor has once again addressed the injury he suffered during his UFC return at UFC 329, and this time he is pointing the blame at something completely unexpected. In a new social media post, Conor claimed that he slipped during his walkout because the cage floor had become wet from the fog and dry ice effects being used inside the arena. According to Conor, the white, orange, and green production effects created enough moisture on the floor to make it slippery. He joked about the situation, saying that the dry ice had made the cage floor wet and suggested that the fight should now be declared a no contest. He also appeared to brush off the setback with confidence, telling fans that he would see them next year and claiming he would be back 100%. The comments quickly attracted attention because the injury came at a crucial moment for Conor, who had been working toward his long-awaited return to competition. But despite the setback, Conor appears to be staying positive during his recovery. He has now shared new training footage, giving fans a glimpse of his current condition and showing that he is still focused on getting back into fighting shape. The footage features Conor working through training while those around him encourage him, repeatedly describing him as strong and healthy. That positive message is important because it suggests that Conor is not allowing the injury to completely derail his plans. For now, his return timeline remains the main focus, but Conor is clearly sending a message that he intends to come back stronger. Whether the wet floor explanation changes how fans view the incident or not, one thing is certain: Conor is already looking ahead, and he appears determined to make his next return count. Move on to another news. Paulo Costa and Magomed Ankalaev are going back and forth, and the tension between the two fighters appears to be getting stronger. Days after his win at UFC Abu Dhabi, Paulo Costa is still taking shots at Ankalaev over his performance against Bogdan Guskov. Costa recently took to social media and shared his thoughts on who Ankalaev should fight next. He mentioned names like Gigi Prochaska and Ankalaev himself, while making it clear that he was not impressed with Ankalaev's recent performance. Costa suggested that one potential opponent was coming off what he called a dumb loss, while Ankalaev was getting closer to being cut from the UFC rather than moving toward a title opportunity after another boring performance. Ankalaev was quick to respond. He claimed that he had actually been offered a fight against Costa on the same card as his previous bout, and he said that he accepted the matchup. Ankalaev then took another shot at Costa, suggesting that he probably would not show up to fight him and telling him to save his excuses. But Ankalaev also made it clear that if Costa changed his mind, they could make the fight happen as soon as next week. That response only added more fuel to the rivalry. Costa then took things a step further by posting a picture showing himself storming into the octagon against Ankalaev. His caption made the message even clearer. Costa suggested that the image represented what everyone watching wanted to see happen. The post quickly captured attention from MMA fans, especially considering the criticism surrounding Ankalaev's recent performances. Costa has never been shy about expressing his opinions, and this latest exchange shows that he is more than willing to keep the pressure on. Ankalaev, meanwhile, appears equally ready to respond, turning what started as criticism into a potential fight rivalry. Whether this back and forth eventually leads to an actual matchup remains to be seen, but both fighters have now made their positions very clear. Costa wants the confrontation. Ankalaev claims he already accepted it, and the UFC now has an interesting storyline sitting right in front of them. Move on to another news. Michel Pereira is now taking action over his controversial loss to Ciryl Gane at UFC Baku, and he is officially pushing to have the result reviewed. For those who missed the fight, Pereira's bout became highly controversial because Ciryl repeatedly appeared to grab Pereira's hair and make contact with his eyes. Despite those incidents, referee Ciryl Gane did not deduct a single point. Pereira ultimately lost the fight on the scorecards, but the controversy did not stop there. Shortly afterward, he was released by the UFC, making the result even more significant for his career. Now, Pereira has revealed that he and his lawyer are actively working behind the scenes to appeal the decision. During a recent interview with Ignition Poker Brazil, Pereira explained that he believes the officiating mistakes directly affected the outcome of the fight and potentially changed the course of his career. Pereira acknowledged that accidental fouls can happen during the intensity of a fight. However, he argued that what happened against Ciryl was different. According to Pereira, Ciryl pulled his hair 3 times during the bout. He said Ciryl Gane warned Ciryl about the behavior, but never took the additional step of deducting a point, and that detail could be extremely important. Pereira pointed out that, based on the official scorecards, even a single point deduction could have completely changed the result. Instead of losing the fight, the bout would have ended as a 28-28 draw. That is why Pereira believes the officiating errors were much more than a minor issue. He expressed frustration over the situation, saying fighters are constantly reminded about the rules by commissions and referees backstage, but those same rules must also be enforced when the fight is happening. For Pereira, this is not simply about changing one result on his record. He believes the decision had a major impact on his career, especially considering that he was later released from the UFC. Now, with his lawyer involved, Pereira is continuing to push for the fight result to be reviewed. Whether the appeal succeeds remains to be seen, but Pereira clearly believes the controversy surrounding that fight deserves another look. Move on to another news. Despite their turbulent history, Conor and Islam Makhachev appear to have developed a surprising level of mutual respect in recent years. The two fighters have had plenty of history, but Makhachev recently showed a different side of himself while discussing Conor's latest setback. Speaking with Complex Sports, Makhachev admitted that he actually felt bad after watching what happened to Conor during UFC 329. Makhachev explained that he expected Max Holloway to beat Conor, but he did not expect the fight to end so quickly. According to Makhachev, he knew Holloway was capable of winning, but he wanted to see how Conor would perform after spending around 5 years away from competition. Instead, the fight ended much earlier than he anticipated. Makhachev said he was disappointed by how quickly everything unfolded, especially because he was interested in seeing what Conor would look like after such a long absence from the sport. He made it clear that he was not surprised by the eventual result, but the speed of the defeat caught him off guard. Makhachev essentially said that he expected Holloway to win, but he wanted to see Conor tested over several rounds and find out how his skills had developed after years away. Instead, the fight was over within the first minute, leaving Makhachev feeling genuinely sympathetic toward his former rival. That reaction is notable because Makhachev and Conor have not always seen eye to eye. Their history goes back years, and the rivalry between their respective teams became one of the biggest storylines in MMA. But time appears to have changed the way Makhachev views Conor. Rather than celebrating the loss or using the moment to criticize him, Makhachev simply acknowledged that it was difficult to watch. His comments also show the level of respect that can exist between fighters, even after years of rivalry and controversy. For Makhachev, the main disappointment was not necessarily that Conor lost, but that fans never got to see what he could do after such a long layoff. He wanted to see Conor tested, challenged, and pushed before knowing where he truly stood. Instead, the fight ended almost immediately. And now, Makhachev has made it clear that despite everything that happened between them, he still feels bad for Conor and respects what he has accomplished inside the sport. Move on to another news. We have some huge UFC fights that have now been announced, starting with a matchup that confirms a rumor we previously covered. RDR is officially moving up to light heavyweight and will face Roman Dolidze at UFC Sacramento on August 22nd. This will be RDR's first fight since losing a decision to Baralho in March, before announcing his move up from middleweight. Dolidze is also looking to bounce back, having suffered back-to-back losses and going 3-2 in his last 5 fights. His most recent setback came against Christian Leroy Duncan in March. Meanwhile, Johnny Walker has a new heavyweight fight lined up after his scheduled bout this weekend fell apart when his opponent withdrew because of injury. Walker is now reportedly set to face Mick Parkin on October 3rd in Utah. Parkin suffered the first loss of his career in 2025 against Marcin Tybura after starting his professional run with a 10-0 record. Walker, meanwhile, is coming off a split decision loss to Dominic Reyes and has gone 1-3 with 1 no contest in his last 5. The UFC has also added several fights to upcoming cards. Jesse Rosas, the older brother of Raul Rosas Jr., is set to make his UFC debut against Miles Johns at featherweight. Rosas enters the promotion riding a 3-fight winning streak. Manuel Souza will also face UFC newcomer Richie Miranda on the August 8th card. Souza has won 3 straight, while Miranda enters the UFC with an impressive 7-fight winning streak and an overall record of 13-1. For the October 17th UFC Edmonton card, Louis Jourdain is reportedly making his UFC debut against Timmy Kwamba. And the biggest update from Edmonton is the main event. Mike Mallet is set to face Joaquin Buckley. Mallet is riding a 4-fight winning streak, while Buckley has lost his last 2. Finally, Aaron Blanchfield and Jasmine Jasudavicius have been added as the co-main event for UFC Canada in Edmonton, giving fans another major fight to look forward to. Move on to another news. Paddy Pimblett recently had a surprise meeting with Jon Jones, and the 2 UFC stars ended up looking back at a moment that goes all the way back to the beginning of their careers. Paddy shared a video of the encounter, revealing that he actually met Jones around 2010 or 2011, when he was still a young fighter trying to make a name for himself. Paddy recalled meeting Jones at a fan expo in Birmingham, UK, and even showed him a picture from that day. What makes the story even more interesting is that Paddy remembered taking another picture during the same weekend with Bruce Buffer. Jones seemed genuinely impressed by the memory, and the interaction quickly turned into a friendly conversation between the 2 fighters. Jones then gave Paddy some praise, telling him that he was proud of him and pointing out how much fans love him. Paddy responded with appreciation, clearly enjoying the moment and the unexpected reunion. The conversation then took a more humorous turn when the topic shifted toward Paddy's weight-cutting routine. Paddy joked about how he makes weight, while Jones mentioned his nutritionist. The exchange led to plenty of laughter, with Paddy making it clear that he has heard plenty of comments about his weight and is already used to the jokes. But perhaps the funniest part came when Paddy admitted that he was playing both sides. He explained that he had recently been spending time with Daniel Cormier as well, joking that he was getting along with both sides of the long-running UFC rivalry. Jones laughed it off, and Paddy made it clear that he has no problem with Cormier. The entire interaction was lighthearted and showed a very different side of the fighters. Instead of rivalry or trash talk, Paddy and Jones were simply enjoying the moment, remembering the past and joking around. For Paddy, meeting Jones again was especially meaningful because it connected his current UFC career with a time when he was just starting out. 16 years later, the 2 finally found themselves together again, and the reunion made for a genuinely memorable UFC moment.